Hello, this is Michael Robinson here at Emerson Solicitors. Just a quick chat about the property market. There's been a lot said about it this week. It's marvellous news that people are allowed to leave their homes and go to estate agencies and then perhaps go and view a property that they wish to buy. But I have certain concerns about it, and I thought that I would express those concerns, and hopefully that will help people. First of all, you shouldn't go mob-handed to the estate agency, and you shouldn't go mob-handed to any home that you would wish to view. I would suggest that one person goes to an estate agency, gathers up information, and then brings it home. And you should also insist, in any event, that you are given a virtual tour of the property. The owner could make a very simple video with a smartphone and forward it to the estate agent to forward to you, or the estate agency themselves might have the ability to do that and provide to you an experience which might even avoid you having to go to the home. Although I guess most people would wish to inspect before they buy. Perhaps not a new build, but certainly a house that somebody else has had. Don't forget, you could always get a survey conducted upon the property, which again might mean that you don't need to go and visit it. But I would suggest if you do need to go and visit it, or feel the need to go and visit it, that one of you goes and visits it and then can report back upon any issues that there might be. You certainly shouldn't turn up with a carload of people to run around the house like you might have done in the old days, even if the people are going to be out, because you do not know whether or not it is safe. I'm not saying that it isn't safe, I'm just saying you don't know. So it's better not to take that chance, I guess, with other people. So, social distancing, as it's called, needs to be in force, and you need to think about that. If you are the seller, and I doubt very much many people will have thought of this, but if you are the seller, you have a duty under the Occupiers Liability Act and under General Tort to make sure that any visitor that comes onto your premises is safe, whether they be a lawful visitor or not. And therefore, you need to make sure that before anybody comes to your property, that you've done your very best to clean all the surfaces that they might touch. You might even suggest to people that they don't need to touch any surfaces, so doors could be wedged open so that people can walk in and out of rooms without having to open a door. That would be the best idea. And if there are any issues with the property, you might as well be upfront and honest, because, as I say, most people are probably going to wish to have a survey done just to be sure, especially if they haven't been able to come and visit together as a couple. So there are certain things you need to think about. Another thing you need to think about when it comes to moving day is the fact that Regulation 7 of the coronavirus restrictions regulations still says that no more than 2 people can gather together unless they have unless it's reasonably necessary to move house. So when you book your removal people, you're going to have to think, how many people am I going to need? Because you could be breaking the law, and they could be breaking the law if you gather together in a group of more than 2 people in the public area. In other words, outside your property. So you might want to leave it to the removal firm completely just to get on with moving stuff, and you stay in the house. But you might also wish to just check how many people they're actually going to send to your property, and you might be able to give them an idea of how many they'll need by helping by removing a lot of the furniture, perhaps, or clothes or whatever yourself. So there's just a bit of thought needs to go into it, perhaps more so than before. In the past, you just got a removal company that came along, they took everything. You need to really think about this just a wee bit more. Now, it's really good news, as I've said already, that people are able to go out and about. There were lots of sales moves locked up in a system that had ground to a halt. In my view, unnecessarily. There was no restriction whatsoever on people working in offices. There was no restriction whatsoever on people working in an estate agent's office. None. There were certain difficulties perhaps in allowing people into the premises, although if you read the regulations, again, there was no restriction in allowing people to come into an office, none whatsoever. The person who came to the office would have to justify why they had done it, because it was upon the person who had left their home to justify the reasonable excuse for why they had left their home. But anyway, it all ground to a halt. And what didn't help the situation, of course, was the fact that the bank started to say that there needed to be 60% deposits. So there was a reality which meant that house sales and purchases didn't go ahead. But there was absolutely nothing in the regulations to say that they couldn't, of any merit. There was this reference to reasonably necessary. Well, what does reasonably necessary mean? And certainly at my firm, and I know other firms as well, we completed sales during this last period when supposedly, according to some of the stuff you read, it wasn't allowed to happen. Anyway, what I'm suggesting to you is, as a person looking to move house, don't crowd the estate agent's office. Go by appointment. Go by appointment to view any property. Don't go mob-handed. Maybe take your own video. Most people, when they are selling, don't wish to be there to see the people because the estate agent will walk them around. That should become more common. If you are selling, get out of the house. Let the people come in. As soon as you come back into the house, clean it. If the estate agent isn't doing that, although they probably should, you clean your house thoroughly with anti-bac on all surfaces. You've left the doors open, so they shouldn't have touched the handles. You've left doors open to bedrooms so they can see in and maybe have a quick look and get a feel for the property. Clearly you've tidied up the garden, you've made it accessible, and you've thought about the Occupiers Liability Act when it comes to move. Because of them visiting, and then when it comes to move, you've thought about the number of people that you're going to have gathering outside your house and coming into your house. So, let's all move forward together. This can happen with a bit of thought, a bit of planning, and goodwill on all sides.